Reverend John MacIver Gage is the senior minister of the Congregational Church of Needham, United Church of Christ. He recently came up with the idea to place flags in front of the church to represent the thousands of lives lost by the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's more on the display.
Unlike other disasters where we really have a focus on telling the stories of people who have died or have been affected or listing their names, that I really hadn't seen much of that going on around this coronavirus pandemic. That we were talking more usually just about numbers. And in particular, as we began to think about reopening the economy, that we kept talking in terms of numbers. And I wanted some way to really make the impact of this disease in our local communities really concrete for folks, particularly in communities like Needham that have been blessed so far not to have been as drastically affected as many other communities. At first I ordered 4,000 because that's where we were when I ordered them, but very quickly that number grew, and so I've had to supply more flags. But the idea really is that people do get struck by this image of how many flags are there, and let that sink in, even just for a moment as they're jogging by or driving by, just to have that number visualized for them. Last weekend, we started putting them out. And like I said, we have 5,000 flags out today. Hopefully that tomorrow we'll be able to catch up to this week's numbers. And our hope is that we'll update that week by week. But as you can imagine, it took a little bit of time out there to plant all of those 5,000 flags. And while we were doing that, both myself and some of my parishioners who came out, all of us safely masked and maintaining social distance, that people driving by stopped and asked what they were about. People walking by stopped. We do have a banner that explains that we're remembering not just those who've died, but those who are dying in Massachusetts from coronavirus. They've expressed exactly what we'd hoped, that they were moved by the sight of the number of them all together. That it takes something that's a news story that for our own peace of mind, we sometimes have to background day by day, that it takes it and just puts it out there in a way that our minds and our bodies can absorb that number. A way that we are encouraging people to participate, though, is to come and to bring a ribbon, and to, if you know someone who has died, and it doesn't have to be here in Massachusetts, but if you know someone who's died of coronavirus, that you can come and tie a ribbon around one of those flags. Unfortunately, there are plenty of flags there. And just we hope that will be a way for people also to have a chance to grieve that loss, and for us to see that loss, again, just sort of made plain for us, that we can see the way that our neighbors and our community is connected to others and to people who are directly affected by this virus. We didn't want to create an opportunity for people to all put their hands in the same container for ribbons. So we're asking people to find something you have at home, something that's meaningful to you perhaps, and bring it by the church, which is at 1154 Great Plain Avenue, just across Linden Street from the post office. You can't miss the 5,000 white flags out front, but take a time to safely stop and come out and remember someone that you know that's died of COVID-19. We're going to continue this as long as we can. We think this is an important use of our space. You know, we can't physically be in the building, or now that the governor has opened phase one of the plan to transition back, our congregation has looked at the risks and done the calculation. We know that God is with us wherever we are. We know that the only two things we can't do in person are hug each other and sing. And otherwise, we are fine worshiping online. So we're going to continue to do that. So even though we're not physically in the building, we wanted to make sure that we are getting the use out of that space and being a witness in our community for these lives and these deaths among us.